What's up, guys? My name is Weston Zink, and I am your host here at the Self-Actualized Man, the podcast for like-minded men who are seeking to improve their lives, relationships, careers, and communities, as well as to become the absolute best men that they know they can and want to be. Again, for those of you who are new to the Self-Actualized Man, this is a segment I like to call Book Reviews, where I read and review a whole host of different literature I believe will help give men greater knowledge and understanding into what they are as men, how you can start actualizing your innate potential and talents, what it takes to build collaborative relationships with others, strategies and tactics to optimize your lifestyle and make best use of your limited resources and time, and the wisdom to become the master creator of your life and the ruler of your domain. So today I'm going to review an inspirational and life-changing book that I've read several times now, and it still strikes a chord deep in my guts and reignites a fire in my heart and soul. The book is called Wild at Heart and is written by a man named John Eldredge. And you can tell I got a lot of tags in here, a lot of good stuff in here, which we'll go over today. So John Eldredge, in his book Wild at Heart, Discovering the Secrets of a Man's Soul, takes the reader back to boyhood to uncover and rediscover what's really missing in the hearts of modern men. Eldredge discusses how many men have been stripped of their masculine identity, how they have lost the fire in their hearts, the desire and the courage to lead through adversity. So Eldredge himself is a Christian, and why I do not identify personally with Christianity, nor do I really read a lot of Christian literature, Eldredge actually does an incredible job gently weaving in the lessons, stories, and metaphors of the Bible into his work to really describe and break down the challenges that so many men are facing in the world today. You know, and I also really appreciate that he uses his personal experiences and stories as a counselor, a lecturer, a father, and a man without having a proselytizing attitude towards his audience. So Wild at Heart explores what Eldredge calls the question, which is the deepest fear that haunts every single man. Can I pull through when it counts most? So Eldredge takes the reader on a journey to explore how, for many men, masculinity has become something superficial and passive, such as what he calls posers or the stereotypical nice guy. Or it has swung completely to the polar opposite, where men act with hyper-aggression and violence like we see so prominent in gangsters and thug culture. Either way, masculinity has really been thrown out of whack between these two extremes, which I suspect is a result of the question plaguing the minds of so many men. They haven't been able to answer it, yet it's burning into their mind. So for you all, the listener, think about it. Can you really pull through when it counts most? When your finances, when your marriage, when your family is falling apart, when your life is on the line or the life of your loved ones are being threatened, do you actually have what it takes? Or are you lying to yourself? And look, guys, I'm not going to hate on you if you don't. Many of us, myself included, were never given the opportunity to discover what we're really made of, an opportunity to answer the question. And even more so, so many of us have had absolutely toxic messaging put into our minds, imprinted into our minds by our mothers, our fathers, teachers, society, who told us we're worthless, that we're fags, we're weak, we're stupid, we're incompetent, we can't handle it. And because we never had the opportunity to really challenge these messages, a lot of us swallowed them whole, and we believed them. These toxic messages imprint deeply into a man's heart, into what Eldredge calls the wound. The often invisible but immensely destructive emasculation and castration of a man's masculine identity. Eldredge affirms the wound strikes early and buries itself deeply into the hearts of all boys. The wound is always perpetrated by his own father. The wound comes when a boy is scared and his father tells him to stop being a pussy. The wound pierces deeply when a father is not present for whatever reason in his life. And right now we live in what is called the fatherless generation. Never before in the course of human history have there been so many fatherless children, children without fathers in the home. Or if his father is present, he just watches sports all day while his son throws the football all alone. The wound is carved when his father, who too is still bleeding from his own wound, abuses and beats his son. And some of you may have had fathers that have done that. And that strikes a wound deeply. Something that I really appreciate about Eldredge is how he consistently exemplifies the vital importance of father-son relationships and how these experiences are defining moments which will shape a man's life and his masculine identity. I like how Eldredge uses his own personal examples and stories being a father to his own sons and demonstrates these interactions between father-son and how important these dynamics are. Like an example is, his son was rock climbing in the Rocky Mountains, and he was really, really scared. So Eldredge was belaying his son, and his son was really, really scared. He wanted to come down, but Eldredge said, you can do it. You're a wild man up there. Look at you. You're climbing this mountain. You're a wild man. His son climbs that mountain, comes down, and curls up close to his dad and says, "Daddy, do you think I really was a wild man up there?" That is a defining moment in a boy's life between father and son. How he answers that question is a defining moment in that kid's life. Eldredge contends that boys, adolescents, and even young adult men are thirsty, are desperate for initiation into manhood, a rite of passage that helps us transcend the immaturity of boyhood to transform us into strong, courageous, authentic men. Not posers, not nice guys, real men. Real, genuine men. Eldredge postulates there are 3 things which a man longs most in his life. They are the ingredients necessary to feed a man's heart and soul. A battle to fight, an adventure to live, and a beauty to rescue. Eldredge discusses how men no longer have a battle to fight. Nothing really meaningful to fight for. We have no great war. We have no great crisis. We have no great depression. Nothing. And because of this, because it's in our DNA as men to fight, we create unnecessary, superficial bullshit fights over nothing. Over nothing. We see this festering desire for battle in turf war between rival gangs. We see it in bullying and online trolling. We see it in video games where men get together to fight fantasy battles against imaginary enemies. We see this fight in people who argue about nonsense, absolute utter nonsense on Twitter, on Facebook, thinking that they are fighting some grand battle, some grand war by picking fights and trolling on Facebook and Twitter. And again, it's all bullshit. It's all superficial. Or, even worse, is many men have lost the will lost their courage to fight. We men want to know we're dangerous, that we are a formidable opponent who's not to be trifled with. Now, this doesn't mean being a bully, being an asshole. That's not what I'm saying with this. Is we want to know if someone messes with us, if someone threatens us, we want to know that we're dangerous, that we will F someone up if they try to pull some bullshit on us. Not to say we're going to bully again. We're not the initiators of aggression in this, but we will defend ourselves. And we want to know we're dangerous enough to defend ourselves. And we want to know that we have what it takes to pull through in the heat of battle. And we want to know that the men that we surround ourselves with also have the balls to do the same, right? A lot of weak men hang out with a lot of weak men. And in all actuality, I've talked to a lot of men who say, I hang out with a lot of guys, but they're not really my friends. I don't really actually have friends. The guys I hang out with are cowards. They're manipulative. They're pussies. They don't have the balls to take a stand that I know someone's got my back when shit goes down. So many men, they lack that in themselves, and they lack that in the men that they surround themselves with. And we want to know, do we have the balls to stand up and fight? Are we dangerous when we need to be dangerous? Again, not advocating violence and saying this, but can we be dangerous when it counts, when we need to be? I think that's what a big point Eldredge was getting across, is something that feeds a man's heart in terms of a battle. So I'd like to hear from you guys, what gets your heart fired up for a fight? What is something that you personally find meaningful to fight for? What makes your raw, primal, masculine essence come alive? I genuinely want to hear what you have to say, so please leave your story in the comments below. I really want to hear it. Eldredge 2 examines how men have lost their sense of adventure. We as men, we have an innate desire to explore the unknown, to innovate the new, to discover the undiscoverable, to take risk against all odds and succeed. Eldredge speaks about a time when he is hiking in the backcountry of the Rocky Mountains, where it's just him and the vast dangers of the wilderness. Now, I don't know where you all are from around the globe. I'm from Colorado, and the mountains, while very, very beautiful, you're not careful, it'll kill you. You'll die out there. Eldredge talks about, him stepping off the beaten trail to tread a terrain that a few men ever do and ever will experience, to just be in the moment with the deadly beauty of nature, yet with a sense of peace and calming, where it's just him, the mountains, the birds, the elk. That's it. That risk of dying, that's something I really love about backpacking, is because there's a risk to my life, because I can die out here if I'm stupid and I'm not careful, if I'm not prepared. That's what makes it fun. That's what makes it exciting, is that risk of death. And we see that a lot with a lot of stories like this guy Shackleton who explored the Antarctic. And we see a lot with a lot of explorers back in the day. Teddy Roosevelt exploring the Amazon. What makes those stories exciting isn't Teddy Roosevelt exploring the Amazon. It's the fact that he almost freaking died numerous times, almost got cannibalized. That risk, that danger, that imminent threat to our lives, that is an adventure that for us men, man, that fires us up. So instead of having an adventure, many men relegate their adventurous masculine spirit to the dregs of corporate cubicles, where every man's soul goes to die. I feel if you work in a cubicle office, man, that's where a man's soul goes to die. You need to really balance that out outside of work, because if you don't, your soul will die. Many men also, their only adventure is the pursuit of material possessions or wealth, which, usually they use to gain sense of status and respect, which they so desperately crave, but never really seem to have. Like, you may know guys that they may have a lot of stuff, but they're assholes. No one actually genuinely really likes them. They don't actually really have genuine, authentic, meaningful friendships with people. They have stuff, but they don't have really meaningful relationships. Others spend thousands of hours adventuring into the realm of cyberspace through video games, online forums, communities. You know, let's think about Skyrim, right? I don't know how many godly hours it takes to beat that game, but for a lot of men, that is my adventure, is some fantasy adventure in a digital realm. And I think for a lot of reason behind that is so many men have just given up having an adventure. And I need to supplicate it. Because we need to have an adventure. And because in real life, I've kind of given up having an adventure, I have given up my adventure spirit. I still need it, and I seek it out, but I seek it out through the realm of fantasy video games. And I know I've been hating on video games a lot lately, but I'll get to that in another episode. So guys, drop a line in the comments below, because I'd like to hear from you guys what your adventure is. You know, what are you discovering, creating, exploring, learning? You know, what challenges are you overcoming or trying to overcome or struggling to overcome? You know, what makes you feel risky and dangerous? You know, for me, one of my adventures is trying to create my own private therapy practice, as well as creating the Self-Actualized Man channel, which I say both have been quite a learning experience, quite the challenge, but that's what makes this stuff fun. Man, creating these videos, connecting with you guys, you know, exploring more topic ideas, having to live by what I talk about, that is making it a lot more fun. I've really been enjoying it. And like I've said, also backpacking, being in the mountains that risk to dying, love it. But I want to hear from you guys, you know, what's your adventure? Or what is an adventure you want to embark on, but maybe you haven't. Maybe you've been holding back, man. Drop that in the comments below. Send me a private email at theselfactualizedman360@gmail.com. I really do want to hear it. The last piece to a man's heart and soul is what Eldredge discusses and how we men take pride fighting for and rescuing what he calls the golden-haired woman, which I kind of seen this as the raw embodiment of the sacred feminine. You know, that we men are innately programmed to protect. Like, it's in our DNA to protect women, to protect children. It's what we do. It's the sacrifice that we make. Eldredge discusses how deep down in their hearts, women love being pursued and fought for. And deep in our hearts, we men love pursuing and fighting for them. We do. Eldredge does not, which I believe wasn't his intention writing Wild at Heart, so it makes a lot of sense why he didn't discuss this, address how femininity of Western women has really been distorted and manipulated and shamed and destroyed mostly by second and third wave feminism, and how men, masculinity, and fatherhood has been eviscerated through corrupt family courts, mainstream culture, and the media, and then reinforced by women. I personally believe this inversion and distortion of the masculine and feminine archetypes and gender roles, in addition to a systemic attack on men and the family, has caused so many men to lose their innate desire to fight, to rescue, and to protect the golden-haired woman. A lot of us guys just have checked out of it. We have lost that desire. We have lost that passion. I think deep down we want to. I think deep in our hearts we want to. I think, though, as some of us are afraid that if I expose this, if I expose my heart to a woman, I'm going to get stabbed in it again. I'm going to get betrayed again. I'm going to get hurt again. And I believe, and this has been my rationale too, is that it's just better not to fight. It's just better to shy away. It's just better to retreat to video games, retreat to my basement, not engage. And to an extent, it makes a lot of sense. So men losing their willingness to fight for women makes a lot of sense logically. Because the very same woman he seeks to rescue and fight for, consequently, is the very same woman who has the power to emasculate and destroy him. Now, women personally, individually, do not have this power, but their power is vicariously reinforced by the power of the state. So we see this most notably when men are annihilated by divorce, right? A woman just changes her mind. I'm done with this relationship. I want out. We get a divorce, and the state annihilates men. We see this when fathers are alienated from their children, and there's a very real thing going on called parental alienation. We also see this when men are cheated on by their wife and girlfriend. Just boom. So many men are just shocked when they find out their wife or girlfriend is cheating. Shocked, blown away. They have no idea. And that might be a problem on their behalf too. And I'll get into that in a second. We can't blame women for all of this. I know you want to. I know I have. I know that was something I used to fuel my anger towards women and feminism, right? But we see this lack of willingness when we men become passive and disengaged from our woman. When a man takes his wife or girlfriend for granted, when he stops playing the game, when he stops being the man that she fell in love with, that she was attracted to, and that she needs and wants in her life. That's all on you guys. Me too. That was epitomized in my episode, Worst Breakup Ever. That all fell on me. That was me. That had nothing to do with her. That had nothing to do with B. So this is going both ways, guys. Right? And I implore you to take a really hard look at yourself as you read this book. That's what it forced me to do. So what I love most about Wild at Heart is how Eldredge does a fantastic job diving deep into the multidimensional problems, obstacles, questions, and sufferings every man has, is, or will face along his path through life and to become a genuine, natural, virile man. He does a great job breaking down what a man really genuinely needs to feed his heart and soul, to awaken from his slumber and come alive so he can become the man that he wants and the man that women and society need him to be. A man who is dangerous, who is courageous, who is adventurous, who takes risks, and is unashamed to be a man. He's not ashamed of it. He's just a man. He's not ashamed of his masculinity. Equally as important, Eldredge instills the reader with inspiration. He encourages us to fight, to embark on an adventure, to discover our masculine heart, which has been waiting for us to return home to it for such a long time. Through his personal stories, experiences, and lessons, Eldredge emboldens us to step into the arena, to heal the wound created long ago, to reawaken our masculine spirit and ignite the fire back into our hearts and souls. For some of you, that fire is not out yet, but it needs to be fed. It needs to be nurtured. It needs to reignite. So now I want to share with you how Wild at Heart has personally impacted me. For starters, it really helped me see my struggles in a whole new light. I really appreciated Eldredge's willingness to really delve deeper into the fundamental questions and inner challenges I, like many men, like you may have, really struggle to answer. And that question again is, can I pull through when it counts most? I've always had questions about what makes men great. Like, what really is a man? What makes men great? Particularly wondering, what kind of man am I? Wild at Heart helped me realize is I was so disconnected from my own masculinity. And I would go so far to the extent that I hated it. I hated my own masculinity. Wild at Heart helped me reconnect back to my masculinity, back to my masculine heart. Eldredge's work spoke directly to my own wound, helping me not be so afraid or ashamed of my masculinity, and instead encourage me to be proud of being a man, to embrace my masculinity, to be authentic, to be dangerous, all the while to become compassionate to the wounded heart of the golden-haired woman who too is hurting. Like, guys, we as men, we are suffering. Women too. They won't want to admit this. They too, their hearts too, are wounded and suffering. So while I'd love to break down this book further in detail with y'all, I'll close just with one part of Wild at Heart. I know I've been going for a while. That really struck a chord deep in my heart and soul. Kind of like, it creates that visceral, gut-wrenching feeling when an undeniable truth just pierces right into your core. And just to let you all know, Wild at Heart is chock filled with this stuff. Eldredge shares his experience witnessing a male lion at the zoo. He always believed the lion to be the king of the jungle, a fierce killing machine who protected his pride, ruled his kingdom upon the savannah for thousands of years. The lion strikes fear in the hearts and minds of zebra, gazelle, water buffalo, and even man himself, for they all know a lion's true power, bloodthirstiness, and savage ruthlessness. Now, I don't know about you guys, I'd probably shit myself if I came face to face with a lion in the wilderness, because I know he will kill me unless I kill him first. That lion has had a lot more practice in the hunting-killing game than I ever have. But since it would be a life-and-death battle, I ain't going down without a good fight against this lion. Even if I die, I'm going to give him one hell of a fight. The lion doesn't question his strength or his ferocity for one simple reason. He knows, in the heart of hearts, he's a freaking lion. That's just he's a lion. He's nothing more, nothing less than his natural lion masculine self. Just like a man who has actually answered the question, he thinks like a man, he acts like a man, smells like a man, pursues women like a man, simply because he's a man. He is just doing what nature and what God created him to do. Be a man. Nothing more, nothing less. Just being a man. But what Eldredge witnessed that fateful day at the zoo was the 500-pound king confined to a cage of metal and concrete, alone, isolated from a world where his virile spirit was free to flourish, to be expressed. The once ferocious beast who roamed the vast open savannah, taking whatever he wanted, sexing up his harem of lionesses, raising his offspring, and striking terror in the hearts of all animals, predator and prey alike, now spends his days lonely, wasting away in a cage. Eldredge describes how this male lion would just lay there, weary, tired, bored. The fight, the thrill of the kill, stripped from his spirit. The lion dreaming of the land he once ruled as king. He can be exactly as God created him to be. A ferocious, savage, powerful lion. Eldredge describes how the masculine fire that once burned bright in that lion's eyes, in his heart, in his very soul, gradually diminished, dimming with each passing day until one day the light goes out and the flame burns no more. This is how a lion's soul dies. This is also how a man's soul dies. Even now, recounting the story of Eldredge describing the lion weighs heavy on my heart. I mean, I've been there. I've been trapped in what I like to call the prison of darkness. A place of extreme disconnection, rage, terror, apathy, and hurt for well over a decade of my life. I didn't care at all who I hurt, which included myself and people I cared about. I believed that my life held no value, that everything was meaningless. I viscerally hated everyone and everything. I was on a warpath of self-destruction. I've seen so many men succumb to the very same fate as the lion. Many of them have had their hearts and souls crushed by their mother, their father, an ex-girlfriend or wife. Their heartfelt passion for life, their spirited desire for danger, for risk, for adventure, their courage to stand up to evil and fight the good fight, their love and compassion for themselves, for children, for women, for society, is just absolutely devastated, absolutely destroyed. There are so many men with broken hearts and souls wandering aimlessly. I call them lost souls. They're just wandering this world without meaning, without purpose. We men have lost that which feeds our heart and soul, that which makes us come alive. And everyone, men, women, society alike, children, are suffering because of it. I'm going to let you know, some of the concepts Eldredge talks about in Wild at Heart are still hard for me to digest. Mostly because I want to actually deny the truth in his words. Because it's too painful to admit. Too painful to admit that I've fallen short as a man. That I have ran away so many times from risk and challenges and opportunities to grow and connect. Because deep down, I honestly did not think I had what it takes to be a real man. Especially in a relationship with a real woman. Wild at Heart is a powerful book and a vital literary tool for my own exploration as a man into kind of exploring who I am and who I want to become as a man. It gave me a deeper understanding and insight into what my masculine heart really genuinely needs to grow, to connect, to what really brings my heart and soul alive. This book also forced me to ponder my own wounds and to figure out how I can answer the questions that still burn deep within my mind and soul. What does it mean to be a man, and do I have what it takes to pull through when it counts most? The questions can only really be answered through direct action and experience, where we men are able to partake in opportunities to test our courage, our perseverance, our intellect, our will, which naturally allow our power and virility to make itself experienced and known. You can't answer the question until you have experienced the answer to the question. So in closing, this book actually genuinely inspired me to create the Self-Actualized Man, to work with young boys and young adult men who are, trying to discover the secrets of what makes their heart and soul come alive. I too need a tribe, a community to challenge me, to encourage me, and to play with, to go on adventures with, to fight battles with. That is what really motivated me to create the Self-Actualized Man, because I want that, and I want to create that for other men so we can both have that. So, I know this was a long book review, but man, this book is really solidly good. That will do it for my book review of Eldredge's Wild at Heart, Discovering the Secrets of a Man's Soul. Highly recommend it. As you can see, a lot of bookmarkers in there. I rate it a solid 4.8 out of 5, man. It's really great. I'm giving you a different perspective on what you all need to really come alive as men. If you've enjoyed this review, please like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe to my channel for more content on how you can become the man you already are in there. We just gotta help bring it out. You know, and doing so, I really appreciate it, because doing so really helps me raise the profile of the show and helps me reach more men who are still struggling to stay above water. Join our tribe over at the Self-Actualized Man Facebook page at www.facebook.com/the Self-Actualized Man for more content on how you can optimize your lifestyle, maximize your potential. I'm working right now on growing the page, so I appreciate any feedback, suggestions on how I can get you the content that you want and need to become the man that you want to be. I appreciate any and all feedback, so leave any comments or questions below. I'm still new to this YouTube podcasting game, so if there's any feedback you have on how I can improve the channel, please feel free to leave those in the comments below. But you can also, again, send me any personal stories, topic ideas, or questions privately at the selfactualizedman360@gmail.com. And of course, I will keep all of your information confidential. I won't spam your email. I got better things to do with my time. I got too much to do with my time to do that. So guys, keep feeding that fire in your heart and soul. It may be a little flame, it may be an ember, but it is not out yet. Until next time, guys, peace.